This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded February 3rd, 2014. Episode 183, with guest Scott Driscoll, Impaccable, Interdisciplinary, Inventor.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
And I'm Scott Driscoll from the Curious Inventor YouTube channel.
Hey, Scott.
Woohoo! Thanks for joining us, Scott.
Thanks for having me.
You're that guy who always beat me in the soldering tutorial thing.
Search results,
You always got more view in the search results.
It was a sad day when I saw your videos starting to come out.
Right.
Oh no, some more competition, and he's serious, and he's actually an electrical engineer.
But my video is like 45 minutes or something, you know, and the average YouTube attention span is like 5, you know, so I think you've got it covered.
Yeah, I don't know, but, you know, a while ago I was trying to look at my return on investment of time for these videos.
Oh, okay.
And I wasn't making a lot of good business decisions when I was making these videos. I was just trying to maximize the number of hours I could put into it. And so I'm thinking, looking back, a part-time job at McDonald's probably would have been a better investment.
That sounds about right, yeah.
So you're talking about your channel overall, not just your soldering videos, your Curious Inventor channel.
For some of them, I mean, I put like hundreds of hours into some of these. It was
really.
It was so.
Into a single video.
You got to count the research. Like a lot of the times, I wasn't making a video about something I knew anything about. So
right, okay.
There's quite a bit of learning. Yeah, and then I didn't have the ability to say when. I just kept digging and editing and editing.
Engineer,
so,
okay.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing is that people they're like how-to videos, which have a long lifespan on YouTube. So I keep getting views over and over again. So eventually it'll be worth the effort. But
internet bucks, they just keep accumulating.
Yeah, I'm just afraid YouTube's going to change their model someday. Like my 10-year plan is going to be trashed.
You're afraid? It's my full-time job. My wife will be pissed.
You guys will be fine.
I'll have to go back and get a real job. No.
Yeah, find one person who hasn't heard your squeaky voice and wants to hire you for some reason.
That's it, because I'm pretty much unemployable now. So.
Yeah. Yeah, now, Dave, now.
Oh, goodness.
Well, Scott, I have to say, I love a lot of your videos. I mean, I think your QFN video, I think, because you have a video about showing how to do QFNs with just a hot air gun and stuff. Mm-hmm. I think that's yours, right? And
yeah.
That was actually really helpful for me when I was learning how to do that, because prior to that I had technicians do it, or I had a reflow oven. But then one day I was just sitting there and I'm like, oh crap, I designed this. I have no way to make this now, and looked it up on YouTube and there it was. So thanks, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who told me that you could get away with that. Because it's one of those things you look at it and you're like, okay, this is impossible. I'm gonna make something else now.
yeah. I'll just go to get a breakout board or something.
Yeah, and you know the crazy thing about a lot of those surface mount parts, and I'm guessing a little bit here because I don't have almost any experience at all with BAGAs, but with a lot of these no lead parts and even fine pitch SMTs, just the surface tension of the solder, and like because the dimensions are so small and the parts are so light, it's actually fairly easy. You just heat everything up and shake it around.
Yeah, it sounds easy, but I mean,
it sounds well.
It's okay to get
there's a limit to that.
Get it down there, but making sure it's down there—that's the hard part, I think.
You see these like split vision microscope machines and X-ray things, and you're like, gosh, how would I ever line this up? Because the pads are underneath the chip. How could I possibly line this up? And it was just magical to me to see that the first time, the chip just go thump.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Suck in the middle. Yeah.
I love watching reflow like underneath a microscope or something like that. Even if you're just doing it with a soldering iron, it's like what like that scene in The Matrix where they pull that goop off the mirror. It's like that. It's like watching solder melt is very pleasant. I am the master of melting stuff.
And then it turns black and starts to smoke.
Yeah, well, yeah.
There's a lot of variables involved which people don't realise. Pad dimensions, type of flux you're using, the temperature, profile, and all sorts of stuff that you're doing. And you can bake your chips if you're not careful. Mm-hmm. You can actually, do some serious damage and roast them, but generally chips are more tolerant than what the spec sheets would lead you to believe. But hey, one day it's not going to work, and
yeah,
I guess that was one of the problems, or something I was trying to deal with my videos. I was definitely not targeting like professional engineers that want to make something that lasts 10 years in a missile.
Right. Yeah.
Degrees.
It's not exactly military quality, is it?
Nor is it high volume. You wouldn't do this more than 10 times in a row before you tear your hair out, right? I mean, but
and you get a proper reflow oven with a thermal profile. Yeah,
but in a pinch, I think a lot of engineers are in that group of like,
they just need to make a prototype.
Yeah. I've got one chip here, and I don't want to put the whole thing in I don't have a thermal oven. What the hell do I do?
Yeah. And a lot of these spec sheets have all these profiles in them that, like, I'm a big proponent of getting just a $20 toaster oven and throwing your board in there and just watching it until it smokes, counting the 10 and opening the door. There's all these people selling these reflow controllers, and if you actually plot out the temperature, half the time the ovens can't heat up or cool down fast enough to even meet the rates that are in the spec sheets. So the only thing the controller can do
mostly.
I mean, when I open the door completely, the cooldown rate is slower than the fastest rate they specify, or whatever that threshold is. So it's like the controller, the only thing it's going to do is keep you farther away from the curve if you have a cheap oven. And if you aren't doing production stuff and don't really care.
Right.
Well, it stops you getting distracted and going over temperature. I mean, I've got one of those. I've reviewed one of those kits and actually verified its performance. And you're right, like the temperature ramp down is awful. Like, you've got to open the door to make it cool down fast enough to sort of even attempt to meet the profile spec. But the good thing about it is it won't allow you to go over temperature, regardless of how distracted you get. Oh shit! I got an email, and you go over and check, and
wouldn't an egg timer work?
Well, an egg timer, it would. But it's I think it's still important to if you don't have one of those controls, I think it's important to at least stick a temperature probe in there and measure the profile, and to see that it doesn't actually go over. So,
I mean, depending on your board, there's just massive differences in temperature.
Oh, thermal mass.
I have gotten in trouble when I've been doing small batches and I try and fill up the whole toaster oven with boards, and I'm trying to batch them. And the one in the back is just black, and it's it's not like grilling where you just eat it anyway.
Right. It's like, you just put extra cream cheese over your bagel, right? You're like, oh, whatever, no big deal. Extra
Tastes
cream
better,
cheese.
All those carcinogens.
And oh man, when you're doing this in an apartment, the smell just is.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
That's not healthy either.
Just tell the neighbors you're no good at cooking, and you should be good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I moved out of that apartment, so whatever.
Oh goodness.
So you were not you trained as a mechanical engineer originally, though, as well, right? I mean, so all these videos that you made are all electronics and music and all this other stuff, but you started out as a mechanical engineer?
Yeah, I got to say, I was pretty nervous getting on this podcast. I mean, I was listening to some of the other episodes, and you've got these famous electrical engineers talking about matching impedance and RF. And
we had no idea what they were talking about. Don't worry about that, man.
But I was always interested in robotics, which is kind of covers a mix of fields, mechanical, electrical, and software. And I've actually spent most of my time out of school doing electrical stuff and software. But I was kind of, robotics is what got me into it, because I was making my own boards back in, I don't know, the 2000s. And then I kind of had this epiphany, which is going to sound really silly, because you have to put yourself in the minds. It's like, wouldn't it be great if we had cars one day? Like, this is going to sound really obvious when I say it now.
What if we had books and we shared them with each other and we stored them in a local, the central location? Like that? Is that true? Because I've done that once before.
Yeah. So I had this epiphany, which was basically to make SparkFun.
Oh, okay.
Back in 2006, I was like, man, I spent all this time making this. I was working on a robot at the time at school. And I was like, I spent all this time figuring out this stuff, but not a single bit of it had anything to do with math or calculus or signals. Or it was just like, you just have to learn how you get this programmer attached to this chip and make sure you pull up this pin, because it doesn't work. It's so much work just to get the stupid thing to blink an LED. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to make a company where I'm going to help people just with these simple building blocks to get them going. Because once you get up to that level, then it's easy. I mean, what I'm basically describing right now is I wanted to make Arduino or something like that, just something to get people from ground zero to a blinky LED without a month of work and frustration.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also, we talked about these spec sheets that have these thermal profiles. I mean, one thing I was going to say about that is that those thermal profiles, a lot of questions I got were like, well, my soldering iron is 800 degrees. Sorry, I'm in Fahrenheit here, but
right.
And the profile says don't only go to 450.
2 on 1. Don't worry about
that. Okay. So that's probably 3 or 4 centigrade. I have no idea. But,
it's about 350.
Yeah. So people are like, well, the solder melts at this low temperature. Why are we using this 800 degrees or 750 degree soldering iron? And it's like everything. All those spec sheets are designed for mass production. They have nothing to do with the tools you have on your workshop bench, which have to compensate for all the heat running away from the part. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff out there of and then DigiKey, there's 8,000 different pliers to buy. I was like, man, the hobbyist or the engineering student just needs to know something that works, that's cheap, and they don't want to spend 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Yep. So all that kind of stuff was just there was a lot of room to help people get started and get up and going. And
there still is, and there's lots of people that do it, right? It's a big field now.
Yeah, your class is, there's demand, so that's great. And something you guys have talked about before is now everyone's just putting together these black boxes, and there's not a lot of true people that don't know engineering. But it's great. You have all these people that are software guys that can make hardware stuff.
And they might eventually get into the finer details of the field. So that's the whole idea. We're not really fussy how people get into it, as long as they get into it.
Yeah. So I as a way to promote the business, I decided to make some just answer some basic questions like, well, what kind of solder should I use? What kind of soldering iron? How do I do this stuff? And I went way, way overboard, and I flew out to take one of these IPC soldering specialist classes.
Oh, nice.
Right. Excellent.
Because I didn't know anything about it. I was just, there weren't a lot of videos out there. So I spent a week getting that thing, which was maybe 1 out of the 5 days was worthwhile, because I'm putting the filter of what would a hobbyist need to know, not what is a military equipment designer that's going to thermal cycle this thing. So... But that's where I got a lot of my knowledge. And then I don't know, I probably spent a month reading every article I could find from NASA and every video that was already out there on how to solder. And there were a lot of videos that were put out by that IPC organization also that I had access to because I took that class. So
did you memorize a standard as well? Could you cite us IPC standards and specs?
Well, this was what pushing 7 years ago.
I'm just saying,
I probably forgot
we
that
could,
the week after the
fill up
class.
the rest of the show. It's such an exciting and awesome reading, right?
I mean, the one thing that I remember that out of that class that was interesting was just how sloppy some things can be and still be robust. Like you could have a resistor, like, I don't know, a third of the way off the pads, and it's not going to come off ever.
No.
So that's kind of
there's I get a ton of complaints like that. Oh, this is the worst soldering tutorial I've ever seen. You didn't do blah blah blah, And no matter how good your tutorial is, there will be always somebody who said you don't do it right because, if you want to do proper soldering, you have to clean each lead before you do it thoroughly, And if you're sending a satellite to bloody Jupiter, okay, there's standards for those sort of things, but hey, if you're just a hobbyist putting together a kit,
when the standard does it work, right?
Exactly, does your lead blink at the end?
I need this to work for one day.
So that's how mine was targeted around, like using just everyday tools and just not going overboard on. You need this specific type of flux that costs, $50 a tube. No, that's just,
Well,
it's crazy.
One interesting thing I did learn from one of the experts at that class was that if you go back to retouch a joint because it looks ugly or something, they said the majority of the time you're going to end up degrading the long-term reliability of that joint.
Yes, you can.
Just by mucking with it again, because after the flux is gone and you're in there heating it up again, it's more likely to be kind of a dry joint, I guess.
Yeah, it's all part of the crystalline structure and the metallurgy of the whole thing, But in the real world, right, that works. I mean, so
it might be cosmetic too, right? It's like, okay, well.
A lot of that stuff was fascinating, but I was like, hobbyists are never going to care about this. But I still went down that path of like, what are all these different kinds of solder? And I mean, there's like hundreds of different kinds of flux, and I still have no idea what the difference between all these things is. I have
and it's almost impossible to convey it to people in any usable form, I think. Because it's horses for courses.
I like the silver kind, the kind that like looks silver.
There's all these.
The field of soldering is almost infinite in its scope, really, and for such a basic thing.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess making $1 million of something that it pays to have somebody go out and do chemistry research on the long-term reliability of it for a year or something. When I was researching this stuff, there were all these audiophile guys that were talking about silver solder conducting better. Oh man, yeah, and it's just like from A to B, the solder is like 0.1% of your whole connection. Like I don't know.
Yeah. I think they're just looking for stuff to be wackos on. I think
to have a wank over. Yeah. No,
it's important to spend the most money on your I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It becomes it's one of those diminishing returns things in the end. You know, there's a point where you get to where, if you just spend extra money and effort, you're not going to get a proportional increase in quality of your solder joint. It's
So what I'm trying to say is don't watch my videos if you're actually a military engineer.
or
probably YouTube in general.
Yeah.
Probably don't watch YouTube in general. Yeah.
Solid gold. That's the only thing I started with.
Yeah.
But then you'll get the crowd who go, no, soldering is the most unreliable method to, you'll get all of these guys who do all the, wiring for the telephone systems, right? They'll tell you that soldering is the worst possible thing you could ever do, right? You should know. Everything should be crimped or wire wrapped. And
they're right, aren't they?
They're technically right. All of
the Curiosity was full of all this wire wrapping.
Yep. They're technically
that blew my mind.
Yeah.
Really?
That's why in your house, with all your wiring, you're not allowed to solder anything. It's all part of the wiring standards. Soldering is totally forbidden, because it isn't reliable enough. You've got to screw, clamp, wires together.
I didn't know that about the Curiosity though. That's interesting.
Yeah, you can find some pictures of that thing. It's like all hand, like they use twine to tie the bundles together because just the hand touch is like the only thing that is reliable enough for that kind of like high vibration, like this has to work situation. Hopefully they didn't watch any of my videos also.
Do you have any wire wrap videos?
No.
One other thing that you have a bunch of that I came across your site again, of course, is KiCad, and a bunch of your stuff was how I think back in the day I got started with KiCad watching reading some of your stuff on KiCad as well. So thanks.
Oh, that's cool.
Thanks for that too, man.
Yeah, I think I was really excited about it. I mean, SparkFun and a lot of the other guys were really into Eagle, which isn't open and isn't free and has this 4-layer restriction on the cheap stuff. And so I was on I always called it KiCad. So that's good to learn.
I still haven't gotten an answer on that. I've just been calling it KiCad, so I don't know if I'm wrong. I'm sure that this is
some French guy that I have no idea. K-I.
How about I say it like this? I'm going to keep saying it the way I'm saying it, just like you guys are. So
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
I'm super happy it's still being developed because I did my I made this music controller, a capacitive sensing touch strip that's a MIDI device, and I did that all in KiCad.
It's okay, man. It's okay. You can just say KiCad.
It's all right. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
I think that looks really funky, by the way. The V meter, it's called. And we'll link it into the show notes. And it just looks really funky. Yeah. Is that like a Perspex front? How is that done? Is it?
So it's LEDs that are reverse mounted through holes drilled in the PCB. So they're pointing like.
Yep.
Well.
Yeah.
They're facing up, but the PCB is facing down. Yeah. And then I've got like a gray acrylic that it looks great, I think.
And there's white sort of things on the top. Is that like silk screened on the top? Is it?
Yep, just silk screen. Yeah, but it's like
bars.
A thicker kind, so you can kind of feel it.
So is the cap touch? Is it directly on the PCB? Is that how it's working?
Yeah. So I was really trying to optimize the cost on this guy.
Yeah.
So it's just it's like an 8-bit ATmega with a USB built in and LEDs. The LEDs are half the cost. and passives. Right. That's it. And traces.
And they're blue. Wow. Well, and they're blue. Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, those blue ones, they're expensive.
Fancy.
I was gonna say if you ever update that, you need to switch over to tricolor. You can start driving those different colors and stuff too.
Oh, man, there is not a single millimeter of space left on that PCB.
All right, fine.
I would have to get somebody who knows what they're doing or go more than 4 layers.
What is the relative size of this thing? Because it looks decently sized.
It's like 6 inches or something.
It's about the length of your hand. It's about the length.
Yeah.
Palm.
And then like half an inch wide, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, an inch. Yep.
Okay. So that thing was a great like learning experience for me. Just trying to bootstrap like a commercial product. It is so hard to compete with the perception that people have when they buy stuff from Apple that you get the world for so little money. And I'm like, these LEDs are so expensive.
Well, I wouldn't say for so little money from Apple. I mean, if you buy something on eBay from one hung low,
Yeah. But it's like, man, you just have to have such a big bankroll to really drop that price to start doing
of course,
and stuff.
Yeah.
I tried to do it on Kickstarter, but they rejected me, so I just went it alone.
Oh, really?
I might, maybe it's because it's too commercial of a product, but if you look at other stuff they've had, I don't think there's any rhyme or reason. I think maybe the video didn't have a good enough soundtrack. I don't know, but
you're right.
Looking bad, I'm glad because like there were all kinds of bugs that I didn't hash out until I sold 100 of them. And so that would have been terrifying.
You would have eaten that cost when you send them all replacements and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or 1,000 of them.
Well, I can imagine you're not making much margin for your $60 retail price there.
Oh no, yeah, I'm only losing a little money, which I'm happy about. Right. It's a great learning experience, and I took that thing through the FCC process, which was like
you did, okay, and
eye opening.
How much did that cost? And
that
how
didn't
much
cost much at all.
Was it?
So
really,
it was like $2,000 or something to do the initial test, and then it's just like you're just crossing your fingers, because if anything goes wrong, it's like, okay,
of course.
I'm just gonna have to redesign this board and pay that $2,000 again.
Spend another $2,000. Yeah.
So I was freaking out because it didn't pass the first time at all, and I'm like, am I just gonna have to pay $2,000 every 3 weeks plus the cost of the board and my time until I just shake this black box until it works? Like, there's so many factors. It wouldn't make any sense for anyone to actually analyze. And I don't know what I'm doing really. So, mechanical engineer and all. But the guys called me up and they're like, no, don't worry at all. I'm just going to have one of our technicians look at it and see if he can fix it for you. And this guy doesn't have. I might have sent him my schematic or something. And I'm like, this is not going to work. Is he going to bleed me dry at like $200 an hour or whatever they're going to charge me? And he calls me up and he's like, hey, I got it. I put 2 ferrites on it. He took his like spectrum analyzer or whatever and found some long traces that seemed a little noisy, cut them, threw some ferrites on there, and it passed. Now this is even more of a black art.
Yeah, I was just say it doesn't. That is not a common story, folks. Do not try and replicate.
It's also not uncommon either. I mean, like a fix like that is not uncommon.
Yeah,
but this guy has. This is what he does day in and day out. Is he looks at circuits and he knows the things that cause problems, like long traces that are right in loops or something like that.
Yeah, it's all about the loop area. Yep. EMI is all about the loop area.
And he also told me with these USB things that it's oftentimes not like the cable that's the problem. It's just that very end termination. So you might have an expensive cable, but if you're plugging into a jack that's bad, that could kill your whole product too.
Huh.
So it was like a lot of like surprising learnings. Like the problems weren't where I thought they would be.
Right. Yeah.
What was your motivation to go through testing in the first place? I mean, just for commercial sale?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you can sell a couple hundred of something, but they'll eventually come for you.
Yeah, that's true.
You're selling an antenna, I think.
Well, only if, the thing is, people think, oh, no, the FCC's going around, checking everyone's product. No, they basically will not do it unless somebody complains that this product is, unless they get a formal complaint that this product has interfered with their space shuttle or something, No, it's, that's how most people get away with it. Like most, all these hobbyist kits out there and everything else, all their things, everything, Arduino and Adafruit and SparkFun selling everything you buy on eBay, it would never pass compliance, or doesn't even have compliance.
They're selling that as like it's your responsibility to use it kind of kit, because you're putting the sticker on it, or I don't know.
Yeah, I think development kits have their own classification and stuff.
Well, in certain countries they do or used to, and their laws are changing now to eliminate that as well. But anyway, it doesn't stop people from selling products that aren't FCC compliant.
I ran across a FCC court case for a product. I think it was made by Behringer. Not
the audio company.
Not a small dude in his basement making something. Yeah. And they had been selling something for a year or two, and FCC went after them for like $1 million or something.
Right.
Only $1 million?
It was like, I mean, I would be like, take whatever you want.
Yeah, right.
But it was just like, oh, this is the same product that I have. Okay, maybe I'll do this.
Right.
Yeah, no, it's not a bad idea. It's just that can be a significant expense. So it's I'm glad it worked out. That's good. But now I'm like, I'm never changing the design ever. Oh, of course, yeah.
Right.
You've done a lot of audio stuff in the past as well. So, do you have any big musicians using this kind of thing? I saw a lot of your test videos and stuff, but I don't know if I was wondering about these kind of products, if they make it in the hands of like pro musician kind of things.
I don't think I have any. I don't have anyone like too famous using it. I've got a fair amount of composers that I think are using it in their studios. That you would never see them out live.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get this into DJs' hands because I think they would really appreciate some blinky blue lights.
Yeah, definitely
on the stage.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. It's kind of a nightmare to support because every single music application has its own little quirks. So when somebody buys it, I immediately get an email like, "Hey, it's not doing this exact thing," or "Wouldn't it be great if I could split it into 3 segments and it plays an F sharp when I hit here?" And I mean, you really, you guys had Ryan O'Hara on your show a while ago, and he just came out with this engineering notebook thing. Mm-hmm. I think he's selling an amp hour one.
Yes, but, version of it.
Yep.
Well, he hasn't gotten off his backside yet. It's not for sale yet. But.
Okay. But he and I were talking that, like, you need a product that just, like, nothing can go wrong. Like, you write in it, the rock.
Yeah, it's a rock. Yeah, it's a pet rock.
I mean, I've known guys that even...
But even then, it's the wrong color and the wrong texture. Someone's going to complain.
Right, I dropped it on my toe.
I cut my eye with this. And I had a friend that was selling T-shirts, and even for him, it was like the amount of support and wrong size and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the problem with customers is that they're people.
So we want to sell to robots. Yeah.
That's the best and the worst part of it.
Yeah, my bosses always say, if it wasn't for these damn customers.
Yeah, of course.
Now, you got, well, maybe you didn't get fed up, but you decided to make the choice to go back to having a real job.
Yeah,
you actually have a real job.
Yeah.
Well, what was the story there? Were you working on this full time, this sort of stuff?
I was. I got out of grad school, and I was doing it full time for a while. And I picked up consulting, like 20 hours a week or something to actually pay for food.
To actually, it's real money, yeah.
Yeah, and I had a couple people working for me, so that like it wasn't making money, but it was paying enough so that people could help me do the shipping, which was a glorious thing.
Oh yeah, it's fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nope.
But I don't know. It wasn't really skyrocketing. I think I put an insane amount of time into these videos rather than actually making products, which is there was a lot of horrible business decisions going on. One of the business models I had was I'm going to partner with people that have a cool idea, and I'm going to take care of all the grunt work, like all the shipping, all the manufacturing, inventory.
Dude, that's a wrong end of the stick you want to be holding.
And then I'm going to split the profits 50-50. It's just, if anyone with any business sense would have just shaken me. You're doing 99.9% of the work. So...
Thank you for your idea. Here's the money.
Yeah, so an opportunity came up to do some kind of cool projects with another company, and I started working part-time with them, and then I switched to full-time, and it was just like, after doing my own thing for a while, and just it was really great to switch to working with a team of other engineers. I mean, when I was just working home alone, good luck to you. I guess, Dave, you got your family, but I was like, I was single at the moment and just out of school, and oh man, I would go to Costco and just like talk to the salespeople there selling cell phones,
right,
like, hey,
get some human interaction.
Oh my god!
Oh man, I was just dying.
I talked to a coworker about that. He said his wife would come to him at the end of the day, and she would say, you were on the phone like all day today. And he said, oh crap, because he would just he'd do the same thing, that craving human interaction, at least in some way,
Yeah. So
we shouldn't laugh. It's not.
I mean, it's funny though too. I just the sight of Scott, sitting at the Costco. That is funny.
It was some sad times.
Yeah.
Well,
people at coffee shops just don't care about soldering as much as you think.
So now, like, what about like hackerspace or anything like that? I mean, Atlanta. You're in Atlanta. Did we say that already?
Yeah.
There are hackerspaces there, or no? Yes.
Yeah, we have a place called Freeside, which has a huge space.
Okay.
But this is like I'm back in 2009, so that
Okay. Yeah, before
the maker movement had only had a few maker fairs at that time. There's some growing groups, but it wasn't like that big at all.
Yeah.
So
the hackerspace thing wasn't really a thing then.
no, I mean, yeah, I don't think it existed. So
yeah, that is tough. I mean, that is a tough side of self-employment for sure. So what happened to the site then? I mean, did you just kind of close shop? I mean, obviously your site's still there, which is great, but and you're still selling these V meters, but you kind of stepped down everything else.
Yeah, I still have, a pile of flush cutters in my basement. I'm slowly getting rid of the last of the inventory over years and years, and like 10,000 through-hole resistors.
And does it get to the point where it's kind of like annoying now? Like, somebody ordered one thing and now I've got to go, it's more annoying than anything. Oh, no, I've got to pack, ship, and take that to the post office. How annoying.
Yeah.
One order.
Yeah. I mean, there's no difference between shipping one thing and 10 things.
Yeah.
So, but... Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty automated, so it's not too bad, but yeah, it's still... You're in this, like, it's really bad to be in that middle zone where you're shipping not quite enough to have everything automated, but not so little that you just give up on it.
So you also did kind of like distribution type stuff, right? I mean, obviously with these flush cutters, you didn't manufacture those.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was trying to find like the ideal pair of pliers for hobbyists and basically what SparkFun and Adafruit have now, just a selection of useful parts and tools.
Yeah. Well, I'm always interested by when I see lists of like people who are distributors and stuff like that. And I'm always amazed at that kind of thing because it does seem like it's mostly done just the logistics, like you mentioned.
It's 100% logistics.
Yeah,
that seems
99%. Yeah,
that seems.
I mean, I was trying
terrible.
to like have a full catalog of stuff, so I was willing to undergo a certain amount of pain just to have like it look like there was a full store there. But really, you do not want to be in the distribution game unless you're the biggest buyer in the room, I guess.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, because
it's just a monotonous business. Like for me, people always say, "Oh, why don't I, set up a shop and sell all sorts of stuff?" And I'm going, well, there's already a million places out there where you can buy these things from. What value am I adding? What meaningful significance am I adding to my life by setting up a bloody shop, especially based out of Australia? Where most 95% of your orders are going to be international. And it's just. You just can't compete. It's just.
I mean, SparkFun and Adafruit
and margins
are fantastic.
Are small.
So
yeah, margins are
That's
tiny.
the other reason.
You're selling a pair of flush cutters there for $4. I see $3.99 on your website. I mean, geez, like I won't even blink an eyelid for $3.99.
Yeah, yeah.
Dave, you are spectacularly lazy, though. I mean, let's. I agree with your statement here, but like, come on, let's put that in context.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm trying to learn that attitude.
You'll get there. It's a learned skill.
Well, just for me, it's not a meaningful. It's not a business that I would get satisfaction out of, running a distribution business. For me, that's not satisfying. For other people, it may certainly well be, they might enjoy that and all power to them. It's just not me. So,
well, like back in 2007, I mean, it was kind of more of there was more value there. I mean, I was looking for the little diamonds in the rough. I was distilling the giant DigiKey catalog into the useful things. But now there's 1,000 stores doing that. So
yep. No, you wouldn't even try and compete, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, good time to jump out, I suppose. So let's talk about what you did jump to, because this is so when you posted this video, which we'll talk about in a little bit here, I was freaking blown away, and I can't wait for this to be a wider technology. But I want to hear about the other stuff that's there as well.
Okay, so the company also has kind of a convoluted past. They started off with a patented sensor that they put in these really high vibration pumps to control them. They were controlling these pneumatic pumps, so air powered pump. It kind of works like a jackhammer.
Okay.
And these things are just horribly efficient. I mean, from electricity to work done on the fluid, you're getting like 1% out after you go through the compressor and through these pumps.
Wow.
So by putting a little bit of controls on these things, they were able to cut the energy cost in half sometimes.
Wow.
Basically
That's
just
for like vibration feedback and all that kind of thing to try and have a control system then?
not anything that complicated. Just like basically you
Turn
fill up
it
this air. Yeah. No, I mean, in a sense, you fill up this air chamber to move something, and then you exhaust the air. And a lot of times you're exhausting super high pressure air.
Yeah.
So what they did was just limit the air to just supply what was needed.
Oh, all right.
So it was like a simple idea, and in that industry, it's like 10 or 20 years behind. I mean, they're just now starting to put electronics in a lot of these pumps because hey, it worked. Why change it?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And now that people are caring a little bit more about efficiency, it's starting to rise up on people's radar screens. So.
Yeah.
And so that the manufacturer we were working for started asking, say, hey, we want some more fancy stuff, and we're like, hey, well, we could make some, control your pump from your phone, put some Bluetooth on there, and
put a bird on it.
Yeah, make some lights play.
That's right,
make it pump with the music. So we ended up getting into mobile app development, and then from there. Going into some cloud-based stuff, actually, so that it's kind of all over the place. But we gave them a solution that you can walk up with your phone and scan the barcode on it, and this is the exact part I need. Rather than, I mean, a lot of these companies are still like you have to call them up and it's about 3 feet tall and it looks blue.
Yep.
And the model number's half scraped off.
Yep.
So anyway, that's how we kind of got into mobile app development, and then augmented reality was another cool thing we thought we could do for them. There's a lot of, I mean, we're not doing the low level stuff here. We're kind of putting the pieces together, but it's pretty amazing what your phones can do now with the camera, with just like a small, say like 2-inch by 2-inch picture. It's able to, based on like angle that the camera sees it and how big it is, it can figure out pretty precisely where the camera focal point is. And once you know that, you can start overlaying things on the equipment, so that, as you move around it, you're showing, like, you could have an X-ray view of it. Like, a simple example would be like if you're at your house and wanted to see where the electrical wires were in your wall. Hold up your phone, and if there's a marker there, as long as the camera knows what it's looking at, it can overlay where those wires are.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of the promise. I think it's still a year or two out before that becomes a commonplace thing in your phone. But so I was thinking, this might be I ran into a guy who said that, this might be cool for a breadboard to show you where to put the wires. And so that's what that video is we have a small tracker sticker on the breadboard, and you hold your phone up to it, and it basically overlays a 2D graphic showing you where the lines are.
Yeah. Which is awesome. And so
it is very cool.
So you do. Yeah. I didn't realize it was based on the depth. You said depth of field, right? That's what it calculates and then aligns with.
It's figuring out where the camera is in space and what angle it's at.
So just from image recognition, then, in that case, like based on.
Yeah, it's surprisingly effective. Like from several feet away, a small little picture can be enough to tell you pretty precisely where that camera is.
Yeah,
but you've got to have that marker template on there.
For now, right? The software development kits we're using still require that, but people in the research labs have gone past that already, doing sort of real-time analysis of the scene to figure out to try and construct a 3D model based on what it's seen in real time. So that it's not going to be more than a year, I think, before you don't need that marker anymore.
Huh. Right. See, so we talked to Jerry about this when she was on talking about the Cast AR.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's like a similar... so they use these modulated LEDs, but they lock onto it then, and then they figure out where they are in space, the same kind of idea, I think, with multiple LEDs versus an image. And so I think it is the same kind of idea there. But I'm really curious about this one where you don't need a reference point anymore, because... Do you know what kind of technologies it's using? Is it using like LiDAR or something like that? I mean, how it is actually creating these
just with the camera.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's have you heard of SLAM, simultaneous location and mapping?
No.
It's kind of a robotics thing where you're looking around the scene, and it's what your brain does when you walk around a room. You look at stuff, and as you move around, you're like, oh, okay, this is probably a cylinder, and you confirm that hypothesis as you get more and more angles. So that's what it's doing. It's making a 3D map in real time of what it's seeing based on these 2D things, which I'm in no way claiming to fully understand how that works, but that's the idea.
give them 100 hours and a video, and we'll all understand it too. Yeah.
I'd love to be paid to figure that out.
but it does actually require a move-in image. Like, you can't just give it one still image, and it can't.
There's
can't
a really Autodesk has a really cool app called something like 123D.
Yeah, Catch. 123D Catch.
Yeah, you can put an object and just take a bunch of pictures around the circumference of it, and it constructs a 3D model complete with like the color mapping and everything.
Yeah, very cool.
It's really, it's still a little crappy, but it's not more than like, it's like a chunky thing. It's not a very precise model.
But it works.
It's like 2 years away from being able to just kind of like wave your phone around something and push print on a 3D printer. I mean, it's pretty cool what's coming.
I wonder about that same one too, because I always wondered if that was based on like GPS data, or how you actually get how you stitch images together. Then is another interesting thing, because you need something to key off of. But then, at least in the case of 123D Catch, you need to be able to take the edge of your first image and then push the edge of your next image into it, so that you can create these things and then pull it out of the environment as well.
I suspect they're doing some sort of image stitching on the processing side, but when they're just collecting data and telling you where to stand, I think they're just using the compass.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
That's interesting. So I saw this video and I started freaking out a little bit, because I was thinking about it. So this is interesting because you did it as a breadboard and showing it for like tutorial type things. That actually wasn't the interesting thing for me. I was thinking you put a silk screen on your PCB, and then you could have real-time population options showing, as you're assembling. I mean, like in terms of just troubleshooting, like it would be like a not an OCR, but would it be like vision inspection system almost? But you as the human would be the system. It would just be showing you the reference points.
Like showing you when you made a mistake or something?
Yeah, like when a resistor's out of place, or, like you should have a capacitor somewhere and you don't, just by doing an overlay, or, like that kind of thing.
Well, they already have those on the SMT lines. They already have a vision inspection system. You can know if your chip's in back to front. You can know if there's a resistor missing, or it's the wrong one, or, because you can actually read the part values and the color and the shape and the size and all that sort of jazz.
But I'm not holding it in my hand with a tablet. That's the difference.
No.
Accessibility is the difference, which is what's really interesting about this, I think.
Yeah, but you've got to program it with all the info. I mean, it's not like you can, just magically point it at any board and it does, some black magic, I mean, it's, there's a lot of work which goes into putting that, programming the data into the system to ensure to give you a usable result.
In that first demo, there was a ton of work making it look as pretty as it was, but but the work had to do with not like the schematic overlay or the net list overlay, but when you put a lead into a breadboard hole, I was modeling a little cylinder in the board to hide it when you put it in, so it makes sure it looks like it's going where it is actually going. But I think what we're trying to develop at the day job is a new system where it's just going to support 2D graphics. So you just like take your Gerbers, run them out to a PNG, and upload it, and then you align that with the tracker just manually. And I think that'll be good enough. I think that'll get 90% of the value.
It should, yeah.
So that takes a lot of the effort out. Like anyone, I'm hoping anyone can just throw a PNG at it, or whatever CAD system you're using, just whatever you want to see, just make a picture. And but
because as cool as this, awesomely cool as this video was with the 3D augmented reality breadboard, I mean, I saw nothing achieved in there that couldn't be achieved with a printout of the schematic and the overlay.
Oh, Dave, you're so boring.
I know I'm so boring, but I'm practical from that point of view. Like, I'll go, that is brilliant, that is awesome technology, but at the end of the day, It's just simpler to print out a schematic and an overlay.
Well, you could print out a sticker. I mean, a lot of people make stickers that have the pinouts and the names.
The pinouts on top of the chip. Yep.
Yeah, and that's a great idea. I think the main thing here is that it's if it all gets automated, it's potentially just a little bit easier. Just like, oh, that's what that pin is. No printing.
But it's only a little bit easier, you see, and you've got to weigh up, well, how much effort is it taking me to drive all this technology to get that little
My
extra
printer
benefit?
is never working for me.
Well, maybe the real problem here is you don't have the right tools, Dave. Maybe you need to get some Google Glass and then do some overlay in that way.
Man.
Dude, even you admitted Google Glass. You don't use it anymore. Can
I rant
gimmick,
about
right?
Google Glass a little?
You're allowed
please.
to rant as much as you'd like, yes.
All right. This thing is not meant for augmented reality. That's the idea that everybody thinks. That was the first thing you said. A lot of not you, but somebody else on the video was like, "Oh man, I can't wait till Google Glass comes out or Cast AR and like those things are not for augmented reality." Like
but by that you're talking about, information is overlaid in your vision, right? So you move your head around and you see that restaurant over there and it automatically pops up some reviews of that restaurant.
Maybe that application, but not a direct line of sight. Like there's a app that's in the Glass mini store or whatever it is, the lens.
Yeah, Word Lens.
And that thing is it's so stupid. You have to look down to look at because the display is not in your direct line of sight, it's up and to the right.
Oh, it's up to the right.
To look at something, you have to look down to look at it. And then it takes forever to figure out what it's going to be.
So it does. No, it does. It has a little lineup box, and then it zooms in, and then it says something in Spanish or whatever you have it set for, and it does an English overlay over the Spanish. I don't see the problem there. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's cool.
It's a cool concept, but I think the usefulness of it would just be to take a picture of the sign and tell you what the translation is. What I think will be really cool is when the
you can get phone apps that do that. Right? You can get phone apps that take a picture of the words and they'll automatically translate it. It does optical character recognition and bang.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's not a cool effect. I just don't think Google Glass is the right platform for it. I think some of these other new things coming out, specifically the Meta one and maybe Oculus Rift with a pair of cameras slapped on it, that'll be where
everyone's
got
to wear around a big helmet, the strap.
Daft Punk is in style right now, guys.
Right,
You wear a Pharrell hat too.
That's the bottom line, right? Everyone's carrying around a phone, right? That is the platform, right? Everyone's happy to carry a phone. Everyone's got one. So that's pretty much the limit of where it stops. When people have to start carrying other tech with them, it just doesn't happen. People go, oh, no, I don't want to carry my Google Glass around. It's too much hassle today. I'm not going to take it with me. And when you don't take it, then you end up like Chris and go, oh, I don't want to use it anymore because, it's just too much hassle.
I'm not a good test case here, Dave.
Of course you are.
What,
You're a nerd.
A nerd,
right?
Yeah.
You're into these gadgets and how they work, and, well, why not?
I mean, it's
Why aren't you a good test case? I think you are a good test case, and it failed.
Maybe.
Is it because of the battery?
Battery is one thing, but no, it's mostly situational, right? It's social, the social side of things. So like wearing it with my coworkers around and like having them be like, "What are you doing?
Are you recording me?"
Yeah, exactly.
Having a conversation in the urinal next to you.
Right.
Yeah, it's off.
It's still the human characteristic. That's the part that's still that sucks about it. The rest of the stuff, I mean, some of it's odd, some of it's maybe not optimized for AR type applications, but yeah. Well, Scott, you were saying something though. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, I actually I would disagree with I think the majority of people in saying that I think it looks pretty cool for what it is. I mean, you've got a screen that's mostly see-through, and it's about as minimal as you could possibly get the battery and all the electronics. And as soon as that gets on a pair, like if you wear it with the sunglasses they ship with it, from 10 feet away, you wouldn't really notice it. I think the design is actually great.
Totally.
And I'm happy that they're pushing the acceptance of that. I mean, if you compare it to just a pair of glasses, like if nobody had glasses on and then all of a sudden somebody showed up with a pair of glasses, like, is it really that
much? Right?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, so I think that's one thing I mean, I know everyone's saying that that's the social hurdle and that's the main problem, but
Well,
I think that's one thing they pushed in the right direction at least.
Right. Oh, I totally agree. What I'm saying is that for those who don't need glasses, right, or sunglasses or whatever, then you've already got all that technology in your phone. So why would you want an extra pair, you have to put on your face and you've got another thing to bloody charge and take care of and handle and keep safe and not lose and all that sort of jazz. And why? I mean, when your phone, if you want to stare at some text, a sign, you're in another country and you want to translate it into English, well, get your phone out. There it is. Right? There's an app for that.
I like I think the killer app. I think that that Scopel guy said this, that the killer app is being able to take a picture like right when you need to without taking your phone out. I don't know. I just got a puppy.
Yeah, but how often do you do that as opposed to wearing it? Right? It's once again, it's that investment, right? You've got to have those glasses on all the time, everywhere you go, to get that convenience.
Yeah.
So in the one time a week that you might want to randomly do something like that spontaneous, well, how much different is it from just whipping your phone out, taking the extra couple of seconds?
I don't know. I feel
like from the guy that takes pictures of his wife at the beach, right?
Yeah, well,
I don't know. In Georgia, which is where I live, there's a lot of weird shit that drives by on the highway. And
that is true,
There's a lot of times I just can't get my phone out fast enough to capture the giant rooster. The South.
That's why... Hey, par for the course, right? Horses for courses. That's why everyone's fitting all these cameras to their phone, right? To their car.
Oh, right?
The dash
cams.
I've got one sitting actually right on the desk in front of me. Someone sent me one. It's a one of these little cameras that you mount on your dashboard, and it's permanently sits there and just records all the time. So you basically forget about it.
Until you need it. Right?
It's one until something happens, then you go, oh yeah, I had that recording. It was recording all the time. It didn't require any extra effort.
So if I can take this just a little bit, or maybe a few years in the future, when we've got this is just something crazy to think about. When we've got drones in the skies going everywhere, I mean, it's not going to be whether you have a Google Glass on. Maybe there's going to be video of everything everywhere, and if you want to look at something, you just somehow search for that time and location and angle.
Yeah, I guess.
Right.
I mean, it's coming. Like, everyone has dash cams and security
1984 is here, folks. Yep. The year is 1984.
It only took us 30 years, right?
All right. Oh, boy. Yeah, that's Big Brother stuff.
So you're working on this augmented reality stuff, and this is really cool. I mean, so are you guys doing this as part? Is there actually like the circuit application? Is that going to be a part of the software you guys are working on now?
Well, we're pushing out right now. I'll send you a link to another demo video. A system that'll let people like upload graphics and make instructions.
Oh yeah, So like if you were out in the field training, right, you could look at something and know how to open the service door or something like that, right?
Or just like more. We're trying to make a system that makes it easier to make instructions, like with wizards and stuff, and also this augmented reality overlays. It's yet to be seen whether we can really make it that easy, but that's the idea. Is that why are we using these paper manuals when everyone has a mobile device?
Yeah.
Because it's always there, right?
Paper doesn't need batteries.
There is a huge advantage to like printing out and pasting a schematic on the inside cover of a bit of equipment, right? It's always there.
That is very true.
Which is what companies used to do back in the old days,
It fades and gets torn off, though.
Yeah, I don't agree.
But it's still there.
No, it's not though.
Still there.
Because these days,
I'm
they
practical.
just no. I mean, I agree that like having a physical copy can be helpful because it doesn't need batteries. But your argument is invalid because they don't publish schematics at all these days. You know what I mean? Like,
come on, you know the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah, well,
you know the point. Don't get anal on the point. Come on.
I think that for training purposes, though, it's practical for more in-depth information to have that kind of stuff there. And I think this is a useful.
It could be, but it's niche. I think it's niche. I think it's niche.
I mean, this is something that I thought about for, thinking through Google Glass applications for real. I thought about, field technicians, that kind of thing, having some kind of, even if you're not storing it all on the flash card, even though you could, I mean, having that kind of accessible information. If you're out in the field anyways, you're going to be Googling stuff, so why not have something to key off of and just look up information?
But once again, it's a niche application. It's a niche requirement.
I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have no idea, I mean, what markets this will be good, or if any, or great for. But it seems like it could be really helpful, so...
Oh, I have no doubt. But
training's a big deal, guys.
As always, I will look into the future and make a bold claim that all this stuff will remain niche.
Yes, I don't disagree with that, Dave. I just think it's there's still a lot of money to be made in niche applications.
Oh, of course, no, no, don't get me wrong. It's cool technology, and we should follow it. And it'll, you could make zillions of dollars out of it. Hey, Google will buy you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're moving on to hardware. Hello. We're moving into software. Right? They only buy hardware now.
Wrong direction. Turn around.
Quick. Every week it changes.
So I guess we didn't ask that either. So, I mean, you said mechanical guy, you did electrical stuff here as well, electronics. So what kind of software are you actually doing, though? I mean, are you doing like Python, or what languages are you coding in?
We do a lot of stuff with Google's cloud app engine, which is
Java.
Really, you can do it in Java, some language called Go, and we do Python.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And we do a lot of this augmented reality stuff in a game development engine called Unity, which is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And that they have, it's very exposed to developers who want to code. So that's in C# or JavaScript. So yeah, a little bit here, a little bit there. We're not doing any like super compiler optimization, search, anything crazy, but
no, but it's like high level application code. I mean, that's a lot of the, you guys are gluing it all together, right? I mean, like, and that's what a lot of people don't realize is that you can have people that dive down into the technology, but at the user level, like this would be, right? This is user level making manuals, that kind of thing. It's a lot of stitching things together with higher level code, and that's important too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that would wants to dive down into the research papers on this stuff, but like that's for the person getting the PhD.
and you like making money versus being a grad student.
I did the ramen noodle thing. It was fun.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Time
you did
for
that.
a change.
Well, speaking of ramen noodles, so you did a lot of music stuff yourself. So I'm looking at all the rest of your videos on your YouTube channel, and you were like a synth guy as well. So like whatever happened to that stuff?
So that was one of the first products. People I partnered with, this guy that was doing all these like open source synths and sequencers. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of one of our first products. So that was kind of a fun excuse to sort of learn how some very, very simple synths work. Mm-hmm. But I've been involved with music in one way or another for a while. So when I was at school for mechanical engineering, and I took this class called computer music, just kind of for fun on the side. And it was like my last semester, and the professor said, "Hey, we're starting this new program called music technology. We need somebody to make a robot drummer that can play collaboratively with other humans." And
awesome.
I was like, yes.
Signed up. Here in the next 3 years of my life. Are there videos of this? Because I couldn't find any videos of the robot. I think there was stuff offline.
Yes, there are somewhere. I will find them.
Okay.
Upload it. You're a YouTuber.
Yeah. I don't know. Georgia Tech might own those videos.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's easier to seek forgiveness than it is to seek permission.
Yeah. What do you do with a robot drummer then? Is it just like sitting there at music shows then, or you like tour this thing around like? And did it have more arms than the Def Leppard drummer?
It only had 2 arms.
Okay.
Might have been a little faster. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But the the research question wasn't like how fast can we drum, which might have been a cool question to go after, but it was more like you've got humans that are very creative, but maybe not as mathematically fast as a computer, and then on the other hand, you've got this computer that can run all these algorithms super fast, but doesn't always make the best aesthetic decisions. So let's try and mix these together. So that it wasn't. The goal wasn't to make a robot that could put on a show and play a MIDI file. It was to see what happens when we could put algorithms in the robot and have the human kind of playing back, tossing ideas back and forth.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that was the high level thing. I'm not saying we came up with anything that was at all listenable, but
wasn't a robot that was going to play drums and then go and kill everyone in the room or anything like that.
It was some, it was like a really, it was some good engineering, some real engineering experience. This thing would play the song 1,000 times and work fine, and then we'd cart it off to some conference overseas. And during the show, the wire that was bending back and forth 100,000 times decided to break on that one time.
Oh yeah,
yep. And the cymbals go crashing down. Poetic.
Yeah, and we're like, well, that's it. It just plays 3 notes. Sorry.
Time to go home, guys.
Yeah, that was a pretty sweet gig. It was weird. We had this kind of higher level. I thought it was worth doing because of this higher level research goal, but I think everyone we showed it to was just like, oh, a robot.
Yeah, right.
Where technology runs into humans, it's always that. You can amaze them with blinkies, right? Blinkies are still never ceases to amaze me how much but then you could get really intricate systems, right? Like, so the Super Bowl just happened and they had those crazy, I don't know if you guys saw the halftime show, but I
didn't see it.
They synced up the entire stadium, these people's wristbands. And it was awesome. It was like I think they did it with like blasting the crowd with like IR cannons effectively to help sync it.
Oh, is that how it was done? Okay.
I think so. Right. And it was just so cool to watch. I mean, but even me, right? I know how it was done, and it was still amazing. It's just something about photons hitting your eyes from LEDs that's fun, so. Yeah, technology hitting humans is always, technology hitting humans is even more fun, but technology mixed with humans.
I think there's a little bit of that with glass too. Like, everyone has this idea in their mind of what it is and what it means. Like, oh, they're looking up, it's doing real time facial recognition, and maybe it'll get there in a year. But it's more like the idea of what it could be than what it actually is, which is kind of a thing with a half an hour battery life that at least it's constantly overheating on I don't know. Like,
you guys have one? You guys have one you're developing on?
Yeah, we're trying to do some industrial like assembly applications. So. For jobs that might they have a lot of turnover in workers, or they're doing a lot of different jobs, to a faster way to learn the task. And I mean, they have paper instructions that work, but we're kind of seeing what's possible. And
so in theory, you could hire a new employee, and on their first hour on the job, you can give them a pair of Google Glass and say, walk up and fix that, and that it would guide them step by step. They wouldn't actually have to.
And I think that's a legitimate use of Google Glass. It's a hands-free video and voice activated interface. That's kind of great when you got your hands dirty. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I don't know if the delicate $1,500 glass in its current form will be the end solution. But
right. Well, I think the really interesting thing there is okay, so you have this. You're obviously optimizing and for this repetitive task, obviously, because if you have someone who's, high turnover job, they're doing something repetitive, and it's kind of like using the human as the robot before there's a robot available for it, right? Because if it's a repetitive task like that, where you can recognize it and do some kind of command to, even in this case, it's just pulling up directions. Eventually, you could say change out that muffler or something, right? Eventually, a robot could do that then.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, you're basically like hardwiring on a brain to the unskilled human, and that it has dexterity that we can't match, at least cost effectively, with robots currently.
Exactly. Yeah. I always think about
That's
I always
cool.
love the term meat controller.
yeah.
So it's actually in the other direction though. So I think
Yeah.
of meat controller where like turning. I think of control systems turning on hot water, and then you feel like when you turn the shower on, you feel warm, you get warmer, cooler, and you to turn a knob, right? In that case, you are the meat controller, right? But
You are the PID loop.
yeah, exactly. You are the PID loop. That's how I explain PID loops to people. And but in this case, it's the other direction. So I don't have a term for it yet. But meat controller also sounds funny. But
I mean, it's an exciting thing because there's always this push that we got to educate more people. We got to teach them more. That's the only way that we're going to solve the job problem. And it's like maybe this is a way to go the other way. Like that.
yeah, you strap an expert on their face, right? I mean, that's effectively what you're doing.
Here, follow these instructions, and suddenly your per hour output is a lot more valuable.
It is, but then people may not learn the why.
Well, that's the
part
point.
of it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the point, but sometimes it's not the point you
It's
want.
creepy.
Yeah, it is creepy for sure.
I mean, you're basically, we need a piece of meat to do this job that we can replace at a moment's notice because there's no training involved.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh yeah, true.
It's scary, but
Yeah.
ugh.
Yeah, that starts to get in. So there's like a whole field of bioethics, and I guess that would be roboethics at that point. But there are some ethical questions in there for sure that we probably won't touch around here too often, other than coming up with terms like meat controller, making terrible statements.
You're at the hospital. Oh, our brain surgeon didn't turn up today. It's okay. We'll get the janitor. We'll just whack some Google Glass on him.
Hey,
and,
Donnie,
and we'll be fine.
get your scalpel.
I mean, it's, if you want to take it a step further, there's some crazy shit with them controlling animals and insects by putting electrodes in the brain.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Driving around the mouse with a controller.
Yeah.
That's that is crazy. Yeah. Right, because obviously we've all seen a lot of sci-fi films where this always goes bad, right? And that's kind of the backdrop for it.
Right.
It's like you have to worry about the worst case scenario. Then, in reality, it's probably just going to be pretty generic, but you have to worry about the robot hordes of zombie people with.
I think we should just start deleting the internet here. This is getting out of control.
Do you want to know why it's never going to happen?
Why is that, Dave?
Management and procedure is why it's never going to happen, right? Paperwork, right?
Right. So
It's
you're
never
saying
going to
that,
happen. Ass covering, right?
You'd have a whole robot, humanoid army ready to go, and then
And it's
the
not
boss
possible.
would say,
Yep.
"Oh, but we don't have insurance coverage for this, and
We don't have
there's not
insurance
a
coverage for
standard
this,
operating
and
procedure."
there's no standard operating. There's no paperwork trail. There's no it's not going to happen.
and we decided to have a corporate deal, so we have IBM running these Google Glass, and they're running Internet Explorer, and they need to be upgraded.
What happens if you were doing the brain surgery and update happened halfway through?
Ma'am, we're sorry about your father, but yeah.
The Google Glass
boy.
battery didn't last long enough.
Or it had one of those cheap-ass Chinese batteries in it.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry, we sourced them from the wrong supplier. Oh, goodness.
If I can just throw one more ethical thing on top of this, I think we're getting to the point where the health insurance cost of an employee is going to outpace their salary.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
Only
this
for
meat
those
controller scheme is
countries
going to work out.
Only for those countries that don't have a proper healthcare system.
I will let that go.
I have to,
Yeah, we're gonna let that one lie. But yes, how about a different healthcare system, Dave? Different.
right, yes.
We're differently abled around here, and it's not our fault. Yeah, but no, I think that is a valid point. I mean, you think about just the cost. I mean, just the cost of labor in general, right? I mean, Dave, you talked about managers. But you get a bunch of MBAs in the room looking at their MBA playbook and wondering about how do we keep reducing costs, and you keep squeezing labor until eventually a robot makes sense,
Right.
right? I mean, that's going to be that's what makes it interesting, I think. So that I think that is what will drive us towards robots in general, is just the economics of it. But until a really dexterous robot is available instead of a human.
See, everyone likes to take all this new whiz-bang technology and think it's going to take over the world. And, and it doesn't. It always goes out with a whimper and just finds a niche application somewhere.
Yeah, those cell phones
Pretty
are never
much.
taking off, man.
Right.
I think there's an argument that the pace of acceleration of technology improvement is like, you can always say, well, when new technology comes out, we need robot designers, so there's new jobs created. But I think a lot of people have argued that it's going faster now, and there aren't as many replacement jobs popping up as there were. So I'm not entirely convinced that it's all just going to work out like it did in the past.
No, I don't. I agree with that. And there's actually Innovation Hub, which is one of my favorite podcasts. They talk about that a lot as well. About is this really because people have been saying this since not the Mennonites. What are they called?
The Luddites.
Luddites. Thank you. So since the loom started, right? I mean, they've been saying this, and it's always been replacement. Right. So it's just a question of where does it really turn into, and if there are jobs at the back end of it. So it's a interesting question. But someone's got to make the software, so you're doing that. I mean, that's good.
I know I have a job for now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm destroying my own job of the future now.
Exactly. Why am I making a manual about how to make manuals?
I'll see you guys on the meat line in 2045.
Right, yeah. Yeah, when YouTube's folded and oh, goodness. So one final thing. So you moved from being self-employed, back to a day job. Ultimately, how do you rate it?
I think there's some value in change. I mean, I did that for a while and stumbled around in the dark.
Right.
If I had made millions of dollars, maybe that would have been different.
Right, and it might be different. Yeah.
I just didn't know where to put all the money, so I went back to a regular job.
I'm here for the 401k plan. Can someone help me?
It's great to work with other engineers and commiserate over the horrible customers and and just
you'll end up old, broken, and bitter, and wanting to go back to being self-employed.
Yeah,
that's my prediction.
But I mean, you guys have all these like podcast outlets and meetups.
Georgia must have that, or Atlanta must have that.
I don't have meetups.
I don't think
have meetups.
I don't think working alone is any excuse not to have a community of people that you can, or mentors, or whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, Dave doesn't drink, but I say drink beer with other engineers as often as possible.
Right.
Even if you're just going to have a cup of Joe or something, you're just going to shoot the shit with people.
Yeah.
That's what's important. And however you can do it. Dave is a cave troll. We know that. We talked about that last week. I think.
I'm a cave dweller.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's okay. He's gonna change. He's softening up. He's an old softy. Right. Don't believe the hype people.
Well, hey, I went to that ham radio meetup.
You did. That's right. Yeah,
last
I saw
week.
That was good pictures.
Yeah. I actually got out. Yeah.
So and I'm interested in that as well, though, about the going back to work and stuff. I mean, is it? I guess you were working so many hours on your own, anyways. That's probably another thing that's interesting that I've heard other people that have gone back and they're like, I just want the structure of it for now, and then because it's different, that's nice as well.
Change is always as good as a holiday, regardless of which direction you go.
Yeah. I mean, there's something about being able to say, I've agreed to give these guys 40 hours, and after that, I'm going to go home. I don't think I would personally leave a project hanging to do that, but that's a really nice feeling to have in the back of your head. Like, well, if shit doesn't work out, see you on Monday. I mean, obviously the job won't last if I did that long term. I mean, that's a nice thing, and you don't.
Well, that's very common in the in the engineering industry. Engineers are probably too. What's the word? They care too much when they shouldn't. Right? If a project's going to shit, if you're working for a company and that project's going to shit, well, it's it's not your responsibility. That's what managers are paid more than you for.
I worked at when I was consulting, I worked at a place that was very much like that. All the engineers quit because for the first year or two, they killed themselves. They were doing 80-hour weeks, traveling all over and everything. And then they were like, it doesn't matter how hard I work if the wrong decisions keep being made.
No, exactly.
Well, if they're not going to develop this product enough and going to sell it anyway, and then we have to go fix it in the field, like that's not my problem.
Yeah, that is definitely
my takeaway for the listeners out there is don't work more hours than what you're paid for. You ultimately, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
And maybe it's different in a small, like I'm working in a small company, so there's like maybe that's more dangerous because I have a.
That is more dangerous because it's more personal.
It's a family almost. Like
you get, you get that emotional attachment.
Like if somebody else stays late, it's like, oh man, all right.
And I don't think you should, because in almost every case I know of working in the industry for 20 years, you always get screwed over in the end. So, I mean...
Well, I think keeping perspective in general is good. I mean, that at the end of the day, yeah, it's a job, but, you don't want to let people down either, so it's just a balance, really.
No, you don't want to let them down, but, but there's people working 80-hour weeks when they're only paid 40, right? That's stupid. Yeah, I don't mind working back, I don't mind coming in on Saturday or working back late on a Friday night or something, but then, hey, I'll come late on Monday, right? Or I'll take Monday off or something. It all sort of, I try and balance it out.
Balance.
It's not like, everything's gone to shit. It's Friday afternoon. The whole production line's failed, and see ya, I'm going home because it's 5 o'clock on a Friday. I don't do that, but I stay back and help them out. But on average, don't put more hours than what you're paid, or much more. Anyway, that's my advice for you youngsters out there, because it ultimately doesn't get you ahead. It doesn't get you much ahead.
No,
so,
I agree with that.
So don't be a suck ass.
Well, I'm getting depressed sitting here.
Right, okay.
You're doing fine, man.
I made the right decision.
You did. No, seriously, you did. And if the real thing,
that's cool.
I think the real thing too is like the thing that I keep finding more and more than anything else is like, it's all about the people you're working with too, right? I mean, like if you find a group of people you're working with and you do want to work late with them just because they're good people and you want to help them out, I think that's actually a better reason, just because it's people you want to be working with. I think that pays a lot more dividends than,
That's why I stayed for so long at so many shit companies.
Yeah.
Is because, I enjoyed the people I was working with, and, it was good. That's why I stayed.
He is human. He's not a meat controller, folks.
I am no. Oh boy.
Well, Scott, please continue posting videos about this. As I'd love to see more of this AR stuff, especially. I mean, obviously more soldering videos are good
cool.
too. But
well, go today for that.
Okay. Pass. So AR videos. I'll settle for those then. They're really cool. I'm looking forward to that technology a lot. I think that's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's not the lens that is what's enabling this. Like, I think a lot of people look at the Google Glass and they see that fancy looking lens. Like, fighter pilots have had lenses for 20 years,
right,
that do this kind of stuff. What the limitation is that battery and the computer and the size of that computing thing. And so that's what's getting exciting for me, is that we're getting these really small packages, and hopefully better battery life.
It's all about MIPS per watt.
Yeah.
It's all about MIPS per watt. How much processing power can you get for X amount of power consumption?
Yeah, there's this. I saw this talk, just to throw one more thing in here, of this researcher at Tech. He was doing triboelectric generators, like really miniature static electricity generators. Like rather than trying to pull parasitic energy out of vibrations, he's trying to do it out of little static electricity. And his whole point is that processors are getting faster, but that's not what's enabling more functionality. It's the changing the size in them and getting that, like you said, the power down.
Mm-hmm. You can do useful processing in sub microwatt levels. It's crazy. As in, when I'm talking about useful processing, it's like
assembly.
it's operating at 32 kilohertz or something. But it's like you can still do
push some registers
usable
around, man.
stuff down at that level. Yeah.
So
it's great.
I don't know if it's going to be batteries or just like a way to get more generators feeding all these things electricity, but I think that's going to start to mix things up a lot here pretty soon.
Ultimately, it comes down to battery technology. Comes down to your energy storage.
Yeah.
Really does.
Yeah, who knows, man. Scott, well, thank you for being on the show. It was great to talk to you about you're quite a renaissance man here. You're all over the place.
He is.
Indecisive, maybe?
No. I also wanted to call out I definitely looked at your kitchen counter invisible fence video too, because I have dogs as well. And yeah.
I haven't gotten a call from PETA about that yet.
That's
so
good. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Glad you
Where
did.
can people find you on Twitter? Can they stalk you?
I haven't done much with the tweeting.
The tweeters?
See, we're huge fans of Twitter here on the Amp Hour.
Yeah, I should get into that.
We'll get you on there. Yeah, we'll get you on there. You have an account?
I have a personal one. So my basically my Curious Inventor YouTube channel and website, and then I have a personal blog where I talk about things I have no business talking about. Is imponderable.things.com.
Oh,
and I've got a pretty popular explanation of Bitcoin on that.
Yeah, that was good. I like that.
So.
Imponderable? Is that things?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll find the link and post it. All right, man. Well, thanks again. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
excellent. Thanks, Scott.
All right.
Catch you later.
Bye.